As a small business owner, have you ever felt overwhelmed by the pressure of choosing the right hire or leading a team? Or have you ever found yourself tolerating a bad hire because you fear trying and failing again as you repeat the hiring process? If so, you're not alone, and you are in the right place. Welcome to the Growing Your Team podcast. The Growing Your Team podcast teaches business owners like you to expand your unique business by teaching you to master the hiring and team management process. Hiring and managing a team does not have to be a challenge. You just have to learn to do it right. And the Growing Your Team podcast teaches you how to become a confident leader who hires right every single time. Now, let's jump into the show where each episode you will learn tips on how to identify what type of help you need on your team, how to source amazing candidates, how to conduct interviews that lead you to your ideal team member, how to onboard successfully, and how to lead every person in your business so you have a team of rock stars who you are happy to pay every single paycheck. So let's jump in and teach you how to hire like a pro. Hello, Jamie Van Kuyk here, and welcome back to the Growing Your Team podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that came up in a conversation that I was a part of earlier this week. During this conversation, we started talking about low-level employees. And what do we mean by low-level employees? Are employees where they're on the low level of the pay scale. So anybody who's really making less than $20 an hour. The conversation was around hiring, the hiring process, what really goes into the hiring process, and whether it was worth putting effort into the hiring process to really find people at this level when this level of employee might not always have great retention rates. So is it worth putting all this time for a thorough hiring process, which a thorough hiring process can take on average of 6 to 8 weeks for team members where you might be refilling the position every 6 months? And I felt like what was shared in this conversation was so important that I want to make sure that I share it all with you. So let's look into this and let's talk about why it is still important to have a thorough hiring process where you go through the right steps for any position you are hiring for your business. The first thing let's look at is why these positions have higher retention rates typically than other positions within the organization. The first is these are, as we're calling them for the purpose of this podcast, the low-level positions when it comes to the pay scale. The reality is nowadays, especially if you are a single person, you don't have roommates, it is difficult to find a place to live, be able to afford all your necessary expenses, to be able to really financially afford everything that comes into living most places when you make $20 or less an hour working a full-time job. So typically people that are making this level of pay, they either are working other jobs so they can afford all their bills, or they have some sort of additional financial support. So whether they're living with a bunch of roommates, whether they have a significant other that's helping the bills, or things like that, that this typically is not their only source of income for paying all the bills. So that means the group of people where this is their only source of income, this is not sustainable in the long run. So these people are always going to be looking for that next opportunity. How do I move up the ladder and earn more money? How do I find that better paying opportunity? So that's one reason why these positions tend to be higher turnover. They are looking for that next opportunity so they can be more financially stable. And I know sometimes we look at things as saying, well, that's all that position is worth. That's all I can afford. But we really have to look at it that it is selfish of us as business owners to expect someone to financially struggle just because that's what we can afford to pay them. If that really is all a position is worth for you in your organization, you really need to do some self-reflection to say, do I need this position to be full-time, or can I use that same budget for it to be a part-time role? Or to say, okay, this is a position that I'm going to understand. It's an entry-level position, and if someone can move up and out of it, they are going to, and I'm okay with that. Or that my target candidate for this is maybe a college-age student, that they'll be doing this role while they're in college getting an education, and then understanding that they'll move on, whether it's within your organization or elsewhere once they graduate. But we can't be selfish and expect people to financially struggle for the benefit of us and our business. So that's reason number one, that there's a lot of turnover that happens at this level. The other areas of why there's a lot of turnover at this level really involve you. So the first thing is, a lot of times what happens at this level is people don't focus on finding the right person. They're just like, this position needs to be filled. I'm probably going to have to hire again in a few months anyway. Just give me anyone, give me anyone, give me anyone. Or because it's at a lower level, you're not always getting the best candidates, and you finally say, just give me a person. So you don't really focus on creating a hiring process and keeping with that hiring process to find a good person for your role, the best person for your role. You get to the mindset of just give me a person for this role. But when you're in that give me a person for this role and you're not focused on finding the right person, it means that the person you hire might not actually be the right long-term fit. So maybe their goals don't align. And if you had a right hiring process, you would know that this person is looking to quickly move on to something else, that this isn't what they want long-term. Or if you have a hiring process that really dives into people's wants and needs and everything, you would know that this isn't what they want forever. Or maybe it is if you dig into the right questions and everything. So that way you can hire for the right person. You can hire, make sure they have the right skills so the position isn't a struggle for them. Because if someone's not being paid very well and they're struggling to meet your expectations, it's causing a lot of unnecessary stress that's going to help influence that person's decision to move elsewhere, or going to influence your decision to let them go. And then the final reason for the high turnover in a lot of these roles is management. Because we see these as lower level positions, we refuse to put in the effort to make this team member a long-term, valued, loyal team member. We don't give a lot of time in training. We don't, very much do a lot of professional development and growth and things like that, because this position is only being paid so much. We're thinking that they might leave anyway. So what is the point? Well, onboarding and your onboarding process is directly tied, according to studies, to how long a person stays with your organization. So the more thorough your onboarding process, the more you make team members feel valued during that onboarding process, the longer they stay. So from the start, if you're saying, I don't care, I'm not going to onboard you, I'm not going to give you a lot of training because I just need you to do, you're part of the reason that this person doesn't stay. And then this ties into the thing that I really, really, really want to stress with this topic. Low-level positions, low-pay positions, we typically see as low value in a lot of ways. We're telling this team member that we don't value them, we don't value their work, and therefore they don't feel valued, they don't feel that there's any need to stay loyal, and they go elsewhere. We need to make sure people feel respected in their role. We need to make sure that they understand that the work they do for us is appreciated every step of the way. Because if they don't feel appreciated, and this doesn't just go for the lower paying positions, it's all the positions, they're not going to stay with you. But the people that have those lower paying positions, sometimes there's more opportunity for them to go elsewhere. So they will jump ship earlier. Every position in your business, if it's worth being an item on your budget, it is worth getting the right person onto your team, and it is worth showing that team member that they are valued. If you can't do that as a business owner, if you see these positions as just do work, do what you're done, do what you're supposed to do. I don't care. I'm not going to build a relationship with you. Then don't hire them. Don't fill this position. If the position is worth having on your team, it is worth putting in the time and effort to get the right person and building a successful employee-employer relationship. Yes, there is going to be a hierarchy of positions in your organization when it comes to the pay scale. Yes, there are always going to be a position or multiple positions at that lowest level, no matter how big your organization gets. But we have to make sure that we're making those people feel valued. Otherwise, they don't stay. Sometimes as organizations get bigger and there's these lower level pay positions, there's a lot of HR policies that are put in place that pretty much say, we don't trust you. We don't think that you're going to show up tomorrow. We don't think that you're actually going to do your job if we don't micromanage you. And when you start treating people that way, they're going to be looking for that opportunity to leave. So if you're having extremely high turnover in your lower pay positions, it is typically not a workforce issue. It is typically that person is not dedicated. It is typically not that these positions aren't worth you putting your time and energy. It is because you are not putting your time and energy into this position. You are not showing these people that they are valued, and you are not setting these positions up for long-term success in your organization. Yes, some positions will always have higher turnover naturally, but you can influence how long people stay with you. And once again, if you're not going to value certain positions on your team, don't have those positions on your team. Spend your money wisely, because there is a cost of refilling these positions. It will cost a minimum of 30% of what the annual pay is for a position to refill the role, and sometimes it's up to 100%. And that's your time and energy to go into the hiring process. It's having to train that person. It's having to, for that team member that left that made mistakes along the way, clean up their mess. It's having to pay for overtime, possibly for other team members to help out in the process while you're looking for that next team member. So there is a cost to have to rehire. So focus on finding that team member that's going to stay, finding that team member that is the right person, and put in the energy to make it so that person wants to be the long-term team member on your team. And as your business grows, consider increasing the pay of that role to make that person show that they are valuable, to show that they are making a difference, that they are helping to contribute to that growth of the organization. I was once working with a company that they were hiring for one of these positions that fell in the lower pay category, the lower pay hierarchy. And they had a team member that was with them for years. That team member was making, I think it was about $18 an hour when they left, which is actually under the market rate. And they wanted to decrease the pay for a new hire because this new person would have to be trained and everything to $16 an hour. And I'll tell you, they had a hard time filling the role because the people at the skill level that they wanted to bring in did not feel valued at $16 an hour. So instead, we changed up the position a little bit. We used that budget wisely. We turned it from a full-time role to a part-time role. And so we were able to increase the hourly rates, and we were able to bring someone in that felt valued and would do the work. And they were able to show this team member that they were valued and keep this person on their team versus getting into that cycle of always having to refill because someone doesn't feel valued inside your organization. So remember, it's up to you to make sure every one of your team members feels valued. And you should be making your lowest paid team member feel just as valued as your highest paid team member. Because if you're not going to value them, there's no reason to have that position in your organization. Are you ready to hire a new team member for your business, and you want to ensure you hire the person who can succeed in the role, make you happy, and positively impact your bottom line? Then let's talk and see how growing your team can help you master the art of hiring. Through bespoke hiring frameworks and comprehensive guidance, you will learn how to attract candidates who have the passion you desire and the skills needed to succeed. At Growing Your Team, women entrepreneurs and leaders work with us to help them expand their unique businesses by teaching them how to hire like a pro. Let's connect and see how we can help you. Send me an email at jamie@growingyourteam.com. That's Jamie, Jamie, @growingyourteam.com, or head on over to growingyourteam.com/jumpstart, with jumpstart being all one word, and let's talk about how you can become a confident leader who hires right every single time.